Welcome to our Vault Shorts. These are shorter episodes highlighting programs and resources here in our Billings community.
Joining us today to talk about the Billings Chamber of Commerce, networking, and programs is Jennifer Reiser, the Chief Operations Officer at the Chamber.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
To share their stories, expertise, industry insights, and strategies.
And we are sharing them all with you every single week.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center offers free personalized support from business plans to financial projections and beyond, empowering small businesses to thrive. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We're really excited to talk to you today about all of the great programming that you oversee at the Chamber.
Yes, we have a lot. You know, we really have expanded our peer networks and our professional development in the last few years, and it's very exciting. So I work, I lead a lot of those things, but also Kathy Greider, our workforce development manager, is instrumental in growing NextGen and some of our other programming as well.
So Jennifer, can you give us just a quick overview? So I think a lot of people are always very familiar with chambers, but just you're kind of overarching of the chamber, and then we'll get into the programs that you guys offer.
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, I was driving through the other day picking something up, and a woman said, "Well, what are you doing today?" I said, "I'm heading to work." And she said, "Where do you work?" And I said, "The Chamber of Commerce." And she said, "What's that?"
What does a chamber
and I thought,
do?
Well, that's really interesting. And I said, we are an independent nonprofit organization that works with businesses to connect them to each other and to grow the community. We really talk about being a catalyst for business growth, champions for community, and then conveners of leaders and influencers. Because, we don't do this work alone. We each kind of have our niche, but there's a lot of overlap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. So I love your programs, and I always tell people about a few of them specifically. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you're new or you have to do these things because you guys really do offer great connections to, that's how we met, was through NextGen.
You created this friendship.
You did. And
See,
podcast.
Those are really the cool things though, like that happen, especially when people say, well, I met that. I met her there, or I didn't know that until I came here, or I've lived here all my life and I learned something new. All that stuff is really cool.
We're going on 9 years. Friends.
Yeah, that's pretty
Isn't that
cool.
crazy?
I know that's dating us a little bit, but it's okay.
That makes you grown-ups.
So you guys
9 short, young years.
9 short, young years. We were just babies in NextGen. So let's chat about your programming, and let's maybe start with Leadership Billings.
Sure. Yep. Leadership Billings is a program of the Chamber that's been there since 1986.
Wow. Whoa.
In fact, we had a session this month, and we were at the Western Heritage Center because we were doing history, culture, and tourism, and I'll talk about the other program focus areas as well. But when we came in, the volunteer that was at the desk at Western Heritage Center said he was in the first Leadership Billings graduating class in 1986. It was so cool.
That's
it was
really
just
fun.
like a really amazing thing. I've been the director of that program for the last 10 years. So we do 2 cohorts every year. When the Chamber started it, it was only 1. But in 2013, I think we expanded to 2 classes because there was demand for it.
And you fill them up.
We do. Yep. We have between 30 and 35 people in each class. We won't take any more than 40 just because we do a lot of tours and group work and things. And it's just the numbers get too big. But Leadership Billings kicks off every year in October, runs from October until May. And you select either the first Wednesday of the month or the second Wednesday of the month. And that is kind of your home group. You can switch back and forth, of course, if schedules don't work out some months. But we focus on connecting people to one another, learning about the community, and then about some leadership skills as well. And then really service, because we know good leaders give back. And so we look at how can you give in a community? Is that running for office? Is that serving on a board? Is that, volunteerism? Is it financially supporting our other organizations and the work that's being done? And we understand that people are at all kind of phases in their life in that. And sometimes you have more time available and less money, and sometimes you have more money and less time. But we're really looking at how do you kind of integrate yourself into a community, right? So you get to meet your people, which you guys met through Next Gen, and you learn about places, right? And we're in roles that we're out in the community a lot. It's our job to know about what's going on in town. And it is always eye-opening to me, the things that we take people to see that they haven't seen before.
I would say even in my role being out in the community as often, when I did leadership Billings, I learned about a lot of things that I didn't know about. So
sure. And every month we focus on a different area of the community. And so we talk about, government, we talk about community and social services, we do education, healthcare, health and wellness, history, culture, tourism, business and agriculture. And the people in the class get to meet leaders in those areas. They get to learn about how those things work in our community, and they get to see, so it's presentations, and then it's also kind of field trips, right? So going out and touring places and understanding the impact that particular industry has on a community. And I always think that it's really important to highlight the skill set in different leaders because you see what it takes to be maybe city manager or an elected official is different than what it might take to run your own business or be an ag producer or, be in hospitality, right? And so the people in the room get an opportunity to see that, and then they get to figure out what they're going to do with it, right?
Right.
So when we wrap up in May, we do a big community work day,
which is so fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
We get out and we volunteer for the morning. You come together for lunch, and then we do some leadership programming in the afternoon. But I'm always asking the graduates, what are you going to do with what you learned, right? Because I think that's really important. And for some people, they'll go back to work every Wednesday, and that's fine. But for others, they're going to figure out, where their passion lies and where they can really connect in the community, right?
And they just learned so much over that. From October to May, I think you learned so much each session. And so I love that. What are you going to do with it? Maybe it's even just, I think sometimes as little as sharing with their own networks. Hey, did you know Billings is doing X, Y, and Z? Because I think there is a lot going on in the community. Just like we talked about in our roles, we know that a little bit more than maybe others just because that's our job.
Right.
But getting to showcase that to other people is really
well. And I always
powerful.
think too, when you think about Community and Social Service Day, we're highlighting those people that are doing work for others in our community, right? And so whether it's serving youth or seniors or anything in between, right? It may not be resources that the people in the class will ever need to use, but maybe the people on their team will. Or their neighbors, or how are they able to connect? Even knowing when you're donating, you're going through, you're cleaning out your closet, knowing where to donate items, that certain places can use certain things, and it's just fine to take it all in one spot, great. But if you can be intentional about it, the organizations can better use certain things, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so with that program, when do applications open? What does it cost?
Yep. Registration opens April 1st. The next cohort starts in October. For chamber members, it's $950 for the 10 sessions. And for non-members, it's $1250. So chamber members get a little bit of a discount there, but it is open to non-members as well.
And it's great, lunch and all those things are included.
Yep. We do full day programming. Yep. Typically the days are 8:30 to 4:30. And we, other than transportation, we provide everything for the day. So the last couple of years, we've done some book groups so that people have an opportunity to learn around about different leaders or about different topics.
I was in a book group.
Yep.
Fun.
And some people love that and some people don't, but it does the book is really the tool that brings a small group together, right? Yeah. So you're in a cohort of 35 people, but now you've got a group of 6 or 7 and you have a purpose, right? So you become your own little
It got us to communicate more.
Yeah.
And so we all shared our phone numbers and we were all texting each other.
Yep.
And so
That's
we all
so
have
cool.
a relationship now. So
Yeah.
because we were all like, hey, how are you? You know, how's the book coming along? What are you taking away from it?
Sure.
Coordinating who's going to talk about what. And
Yep. And that's, that's part of leading, right? And it's for people of all ages and industries. You have people who, like you said, if they're new to the community, it's a great way for them to learn about Billings. But even if you've lived here all your life, it introduces you to new people.
Yep.
And just gives you that opportunity to think differently.
And I wholeheartedly believe, even if you've lived here your whole life, you will learn something new about Billings that you had no idea about.
You will, and even in the 10 years that I've done it, the core part of the program is the same, but we always have new businesses. We always have new issues. We always have new people to introduce and highlight. And so every year it is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right?
So the next program, let's chat a little bit about Encore.
Sure. Encore is a program of the Billings Chamber Women's Network. And Encore is for women in business, women in leadership that have either in the past or currently own a business, supervise people, or manage programs. So there's some level of, we'll say, professional maturity or experience. It's not based on age, but it is definitely based on position and experience, so that it becomes a true peer network where people can come together and learn from one another, as well as kind of dive deep into some self-awareness. We do a lot of focus on the individual in that.
Which is so valuable as a leader.
You're just taking the time to learn more about what drives you, how you're motivated, what scares you, why you're afraid of those things, how you lead. And I think you can just become, it's a self-awareness piece, right? You just know that about yourself, and you either own it and operate within those parameters, or you work to change it, right? And so the women in that cohort come together for half a day every month. It will kick off in September and run through May. So just half a day, and registration will open in July. And again, it's just, it's not an application process. Actually, all of our programs are really a registration. And so you sign up, you self-identify that is who you are and what you've done. And it's been a really great mix of people. And we cap that group at 35 people. Again, same kind of thing, that you just have the opportunity to really, hopefully, connect. And,
make more meaningful relationships.
And that one in particular does become that way. It's important to me to give people some structured programming. We do a lot of small group conversation and kind of peer learning, but then we also do some fun activities and try some new things that maybe people wouldn't do on their own. Or, there's always that, like when you're with your family or when you're with your close friends, they might say, oh, Jennifer doesn't do that, or you don't do that, and I might think in my head, well, you're right.
I don't do that.
Right.
But
I don't, or could I try it? Right.
Yeah.
And so this just gives people this opportunity to support one another. And I give people choice all the time, right? So it's not that you have to do the things, but I really do ask people to stay involved and participate in whatever way that looks, right? So you can participate fully and do the activity, or you can be there to support the people who are fully participating in the activity, right? And so there's value in that too.
And I feel anytime I've been at that group presenting or just there, I haven't had the chance yet to go through it, but such an engaged group. Like every year that I've talked about the Gallup BP10 assessment, they're so engaged.
Yes.
And they're like so engaged with the programming that you put together and with each other, which is so powerful and such an exciting thing.
Yeah. And they really do get an opportunity to, they get to share their stories if they choose. And it's a really great place for you to think about, like, what do I want people to know about me? What is the story that I want to share, right? Yeah. It can start with the, I was born in Georgia and my dad was in the Army and, we moved around the country and blah, 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 blah. Or it can be, last year I learned to snowboard and, that was a really difficult thing, but I did it, right? And so you get to choose and share. And it does gives you, we do a lot of assessment. Work. We do the Enneagram, we do the BP10, we do, a number of other things really just to get people to better learn about themselves. And when we did the focus group, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago that we did the focus group. And, we did a survey first and said we were going to start creating peer networks. So we asked our chamber members, what is it that you would like? And we gave some examples and then kind of an open-ended question. And specific programming for women floated to the top. Well, and so then I did a few focus groups that summer thinking that we were going to, just do some, create some opportunities for women to connect and would just be kind of social and this networking piece. But it turned into the people in the room really wanted some programming. And we were intentional about making sure that we didn't duplicate something that was already happening in our community. We really did make a list of all of the service clubs and organizations and programs for women and looked at where was the gap and what could we serve. And the thing that floated to the top was focusing on the individual. And that's not to say that by investing in the individual, the team and the community and the business don't benefit, because they do.
They absolutely benefit.
But it was an opportunity for women at that level of professional experience to really focus on themselves. And so that's been a really cool thing. And then Women's Network is the bigger umbrella for our women's programming. And that one doesn't quite have the same focus. It's broader. It's for women at all different ages and stages in their careers. They come together for just 2 hours every month. And the programming is just a little bit different. We'll bring in speakers, we'll do panels, we have people in the group that sometimes will have a topic that they want to share, whether it's financial planning or might be how you declutter your closet or your life, things that can be used both
valuable.
We all need those, yes.
and in the professional space, and it's just been a really good opportunity for us to create that space where women can come together and have conversations and learn from one another and kind of support each other, because working women need support. Doesn't matter, how old you are or whether you have kids or whether you own your business or you're working for someone. There's somebody else in the room who is either currently going through it, which nice to walk alongside somebody in that space, or has maybe experienced it previously and can help share, tips and tricks on how to get through it, right?
Yeah, and then it's nice because there's what I think is great about all of the programming you guys do is people can kind of choose what's going to work for them in that year or that schedule. So with the Women's Network, what are, just to give the audience, costs for the network, Women's Network, and then Encore?
Yeah. So Women's Network runs all year long. It doesn't stop. And it is not a specific defined cohort. You join the Women's Network. It costs $125 a year for chamber members and $150 for non-members. We meet twice a month. And it's the second Thursday of every month, and we do 2 hours in the morning one month, and then the next month we do 2 hours in the afternoon, and it just bounces back and forth like that. So that if mornings never work for you, at least you can get to half of them, right?
And what a value! I mean, for the cost of that, to have like a monthly learning experience, that's a great deal.
Well, and we have the Depot is our venue partner. Q2 helps financially support the program to keep the dues low, and people can join anytime during the year. I'll set the schedule from, January through December so that people can put the dates and times on their calendars. And then I send out a week or two before the details on the programming, right? And then Encore is $650 for members and non-members. It had previously run a calendar year in terms of scheduling, but we changed that this year, and we're going to do September until May. So we won't try to meet through the summer. Summers were difficult for
hard.
people. Yeah.
We have limited time of sunshine, and
people need to get it.
And we're trying to get outside, So yeah, we've just tried to accommodate that, and it worked well for a couple of years, and then we just decided we better shift, which is also a really great thing that we get to do that, And so we've had just over 100 women go through since we started that, which is pretty cool. And in Encore. And then Women's Network has about 120 women in it.
Wow.
And about 25 or 30 get together each month. So there's, people who can make it every month, but then there's people who invite guests and come in, and it's just been a really great opportunity for for us to come together.
That's exciting.
I love the groups at the chamber because it's come and go as you please and as your schedule allows and as your point of life allows, and it's more casual, right? And so it takes that barrier of I'm scared to go.
Sure.
The first time you go, you realize you're like, oh, this is great.
This is great.
And like the broader women's network doesn't have any kind of attendance requirements. Leadership Billings does. Like we want you're taking up a space. I mean, there's a commitment factor in both Leadership Billings and Encore.
And there's value to be gained.
Yeah, we ask that you don't miss more than 2 classes, right? And so if it
and you get a certificate at the end, right? You have to earn that certificate.
That's true.
Yeah, you do. So let's talk a little bit about you guys have a DEI, right? Programming or DEII.
Yes.
Okay. I'll let you explain what that is.
We started our DEI network, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Network a few years ago. I think this is its 4th year, and really was focused on how can we integrate that into our businesses, and so that we're creating spaces where people want to come to work, they feel comfortable at work, they feel like they belong, they're connecting, and they can, really bring them their true self, right? And so the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Implementation Program, that was where we did the DEII.
Okay, I was like, I saw it.
Yep, you've seen it both ways. And actually we're going to kind of rebrand it and shift that a little bit this next fall. But that implementation program was a series of sessions that really dove into what is diversity, what is equity, what is inclusion, and then how can you implement it in your workplace, right? And so it's very much focused on meeting people where they are, understanding that some people haven't had a lot of diverse experience, right? And that might be challenging for them. And we also understand that not everybody wants to talk about those topics, right? But as leaders in the community and business owners, it's really important for us to consider others in our space and create spaces where they feel like they're welcome and feel like they belong, right? And as we're doing recruitment, as you know, we're recruiting people from different places with diverse backgrounds and experiences, and we're inviting them to come to Billings. And if Billings isn't a welcoming place, they're not going to stay, right? So the employee retention side of it is impacted as well. So Kathy Greider is our workforce development manager, and she leads the DEI network at the Billings Chamber along with an advisory board. And we are shifting a little bit of our programming to expand that inclusion, the diversity and inclusion spectrum, if you will. We're going to be doing some mental health in the workplace programming. We'll be doing some veteran, work on engaging veterans, not the same kind of veteran business that Big Sky Economic Development does, but more how do we prepare businesses to be not just veteran friendly, but veteran ready?
Yes.
So when veterans are looking for places to live and work, they think Billings because our businesses and organizations know what veterans need and are willing to create spaces, again, where they feel welcome and that they belong, right? Because the retention rate for veterans is a lot lower than we would like it to be. There's also aging friendly. There's being working with people with intellectual disabilities and accessibility issues in our workplaces. And so it's really looking at, again, what are those like policies and systems and environmental things going on in our organizations that can be better, right? Yeah. And so we created a welcoming and belonging toolkit that all of our members are receiving. We've got great DEI resources on billingsdei.com. Everything from how does culture operate in your organization. There are some policy examples. There are, ways that you can work your employee handbooks to just have a little bit more intention in that space. A couple years ago, maybe it was last summer, we added holiday swapping to our employee handbook so that if people maybe don't celebrate Christmas and they want to work and they want to take a different day that has more meaning for them, they can do that, right? So they're not just locked into whatever the traditional holiday schedule might be. And so just giving people more choice.
You guys have great DEI programming, and we're really excited to see from what you're talking about what you'll do with that this fall. And your website has all of that great information.
It does.
Kathy, who we've mentioned on here, also was on a few episodes ago to talk about Next Gen. So if anyone wants to learn about Next Gen, we have a whole episode dedicated to that, which is a great listen. What are we missing? What other programming do you guys have that's great value add?
Sure. So there's two things that are just included in Billings Chamber membership, and all of our members have access to. One is Collaborate, and that is a weekly gathering of business professionals at the chamber, and it's a little less formal. It's not structured in terms of presenters and topics and things like that, although sometimes, we do have a list of topics just in case the conversation lags, but we have. And it kind of varies on who on our team is at the table. Sometimes it might be our business advocacy team. Sometimes it might be our membership team, really just kind of facilitating the conversation, asking people, what challenges do they have? What are you working on right now? What are you celebrating? And giving people an opportunity to share that around the table. It's just 1 hour every Wednesday from 10:30 to 11:30 at the chamber. Non-members are certainly welcome to come check it out. It is a good opportunity to come and see a little bit of what the chamber does. And then we can connect people to resources, whether they're within our umbrella or our partners in the community.
And I know that people that do attend that, they love, you have people that kind of come and go like we've talked about, but some of your regulars, that's like such an important thing in their week that they're like, I won't miss it.
Right. And it used to be very focused, our weekly meetings were focused on bringing leads and business generation. And there's still some of that, but there's not the requirement to bring a lead. There's not the pressure of that. It's just if I want to go and connect with other people. And then, it's developing relationships. And so those relationships then often lead to doing business together.
And leads.
Or being able to refer people to, if you're sitting around the table and you're across the table from a financial planner or an insurance agent or somebody who's a contractor, then when somebody talks to you and says, hey, I'm
looking for X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
You're like, oh my gosh, I have this person.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. You understand them, you know them, you like them, you trust them, and then you do business with them, right?
Exactly. And you know their story. And
Yeah. And then the other one that we have is the Business Development Network. And that one was created about 6 years ago. I had a group of people come to me. I think there were 3 or 4 of them, and said, we all do business development for our organizations or businesses, but we all do it differently. It means something different under each of the umbrellas. And so we kind of created this network to explore what are the components to business development, whether it's marketing, advertising, sales, innovation, that relationship building, right? And so the Business Development Network is a monthly 1.5-hour session, the second Tuesday of each month. And sometimes we will go places. We'll go and see and learn from what's going on in a particular business, or we'll bring in a panel of people who have done some innovative things or who are implementing some new processes, and they get to share. And then sometimes we'll do just some, small group conversation and kind of that problem solving, around, and anybody can come. It is designed for people who either own a business or are charged with business development.
Wow, that's great. And that's such a value.
Awesome.
I don't know if I even knew about that one. I'm thinking of who from our team can go to that.
Yeah, and it is. It's it doesn't cost anything extra. It's that 1.5 hours a month. And it's the same kind of thing. We just put you on an email list, and then at the beginning of the year, I send out a calendar and it says, here are the dates and times. And that one too bounces from morning to afternoon each month, so that if they can't come on Tuesdays in the afternoon, they can always make the morning ones. Yeah. That works well.
Yeah.
Gives us a chance to highlight our members and give them an opportunity to showcase the work that they're doing too. So we send out the dates and times in advance, and then I send an email about the week before with details on location and topic and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we've been talking about a lot of great programs that you guys have at the chamber that are really beneficial. Maybe touch base on, for our listeners who haven't been in any of these programs or maybe are just learning about the chamber today, how should they start? And then how do you encourage employers or managers to encourage their team members to attend?
That's a great question. So when somebody joins the chamber, we go through all of the member benefits, and there's something like 60 of them. So not everybody's going to use all of them all of the time. We understand that. But so as we do a chamber journey, which is a member orientation, and it's an opportunity for non-members to come and learn from us. Those dates are on our website. We do them once a quarter and kind of go through all of the, not in detail, but it is a high level. Here's all the things that the chamber offers. And then members and potential members are looking at it saying, well, yes, this is something that would help solve a problem that I have, or, whether it's I want to do workforce development for my team, or I want to do marketing and advertising, I want to go to events, whatever it might be. I want to learn more about business advocacy. So we have an engagement checklist that we ask people to kind of go through and pick 3 things. And so then we work with them individually to get them engaged in those 3 things, or 2 things, or 1, whichever they pick, and have them kind of, pilot those things or test them. And I do think it is important for managers or owners who want to use the tools at the chamber to consider who on their team can engage in those different spaces, right? We've had people even recently join the chamber not because they want to do anything with us, but because they know it will benefit their team. They have a lot of young people, they're going to plug them into Next Gen, or they know that they've got people in certain positions that need to expand their network or enhance their skills, and they're going to utilize our programming to do it. So if you go to billingschamber.com, there is a drop down that says get involved, and all of the programs and networks are listed there. And there's contact information, and you can send a quick email and get put on a mailing list, or tell me more. We can have conversations with that. And if there are listeners that are wondering, wanting to know more about the chamber, or just want to kind of sit down and kind of have some, help navigating what we have to offer, we're happy to do that too.
Yeah, it's a great team. And you answered my next question of where can people find more information. And so they have the Get Involved. They have business after hour events that you can attend on Wednesdays.
Yeah, Business After Hours is a monthly networking event that is the second Wednesday of every month from 5 to 7 in the evening. It's open to members and non-members, but different members will host that. Gives people an opportunity to go into a business and see the place and get to know the people and their products and services, and an opportunity just to network. We do have a number of other major events, of course. We've also got some other committees that people can get involved in, whether it's a business advocacy board or DEI advisory board or trails committee or something like that too. So those are all listed on our website as well.
Awesome. Well, Jennifer, this has been so great. Thanks for all you do at the Chamber to lead all these great programs for our business community here in Billings. And thanks for joining us today.
It's always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, community development, and workforce development. Learn more at bigsky economicdevelopment.org.